Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dynasty After Dark. I'm Calvin Timms, and welcome back to another episode of Dynasty Debates, where today I'm going to be talking about two players that are very popular out there on the Twitter sphere, and that is Travis ETN and Tank Bigsby. So the Jacksonville Jaguars running back room. Now, I was talking about this a little bit yesterday with Dale, and if you haven't gone and checked out yesterday's podcast breaking down a rookie mock draft, reviewing that, kind of giving our thoughts on it and how we would advise you to avoid some of the mistakes made there, go check that out. You know, we'd love to be putting out all types of content all off season long, and this is just another different type of content that I'm going to be giving you guys, which is a little bit more of a deep dive into the Jacksonville Jaguars backfield. Now, I talked, like I said, I talked about this a little bit with Dale, and I think that what we're seeing on Twitter, if you're involved over there, is people are very entrenched on either side A, which is Travis Etienne's the number one guy, or side B, Tank Bigsby is the number one guy. Both of these camps right now are arguing with no justification. They have no basis for their claims, right? Travis Etienne was a first-round pick. That is true. It is the same general manager, but it's a different coaching staff completely. He was the first-round pick with Urban Meyer, with Trevor Lawrence, college teammate of Trevor Lawrence. Everyone knew after the draft that Urban Meyer actually wanted Kadarius Toney, and instead they went for Travis Etienne to fill more of that hybrid gadget player type of role where he can be used all over the field. Conversely, Tank Bigsby was drafted in the third round of this draft that we just had a couple months ago, and it was picked by the same GM, but this time it was picked by Doug Peterson at the helm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that sounds like it's not a major difference, but it really is, because here's the depth chart right now. You've got Travis Etienne, Dearness Johnson, and JaMychal Hasty. Those are the top three backs on this team. ETN, I really like the talent. I think he's very, very good. Tank Bigsby instantly slots into the number 2 role on this team. And what do we know about Doug Peterson as a head coach? He had 5 years as a head coach in Philadelphia, and what we saw from all 5 of those years, not a single running back for any of his teams broke 200 carries. In 2016, his first year with the Philadelphia Eagles, Ryan Matthews was the number 1 carrier of the ball with 155. Darren Sproles was number 2 with 94. Wendell Smallwood was 77. Now, target distribution, it all depends on your skill, right? 2017, LeGarrette Blount was the number 1 guy. Even LeGarrette Blount at his age 31 season, where he was pretty good, pretty efficient that year, only had 173 carries. Corey Clement had 74, and Jay Ajayi was 70 that year. 2018, continuing here, this was a very down year for the team in general, just in terms of all plays and yardage. Josh Adams was the number 1 running back target that year, 120 carries. Wendell Smallwood, number 2, with 87. Corey Clement with 68. 2019, we're continuing here. This is Miles Sanders' rookie year. And, he only played in 11 games that year, or started in 11 games, but only 180 carries, 120 for Jordan Howard, who was the number 2 back. Now, again, targets for Miles Sanders' rookie year, 63 versus 14 for Jordan Howard. In 2020, Miles Sanders' second year, 164 attempts. Boston Scott, 80 attempts. Jalen Hurts was 63. Again, the targets were 52 for Miles Sanders, 36 for Boston Scott. So it all kind of depends on your receiving ability, but from the rushing side, what this tells us is neither Travis Etienne nor Tank Bigsby is going to have more than 200 carries. It's just not going to happen. Now, the question is going to be who's going to be the number 1 in carries. I think that this team is going to break down as more like the 2016 Philadelphia Eagles for Doug Peterson here. And in that year, just talked about it, Ryan Matthews, 155 carries with only 14 targets. Darren Sproles, 94 carries with 71 targets. it seems like one of these running backs is going to be heavily involved in the passing game. Now, you go and look at Darren Sproles. If you go look at Travis Etienne, his rookie year, he had 45 targets with 35 catches. He is the pass catcher of the two of these guys. Tank Bigsby has soft hands, but he's more of a Boston Scott. I really don't see him breaking more than 30, maybe 40 targets, but I could see a big uptick in Travis Etienne's usage in the passing game. Conversely, though, I do think that 220 attempts for Travis Etienne is the highest by Doug Peterson running back in his entire career. I think that's why they went so heavily after Tank Bigsby, because he does not want that to happen. Now, Travis Etienne was good last year with 1,100 yards, but averaging 5 a carry. But if you look at his usage, it was actually a lot more streaky than a lot of people like to admit, right? He did a lot of it based on big plays and chunk yardage, and that's not necessarily the most sustainable. It's a very good sign. I'm not saying that Travis Etienne is not a good player, but I think what they're going to try and do this upcoming season is utilize Travis Etienne in more of the 120 to 130 carry range, and maybe Tank Bigsby takes a bulk of the carries because he's a little bit bigger. These guys are about the same size. Travis Etienne's a little bit shorter than Tank Bigsby, but Travis Etienne, I think, is more of the finesse player. Get him in space and he can chunk off those big yardage plays. Where Tank Bigsby is more of a grinder a little bit. He's not a tank like his name suggests. He is more of a smooth kind of runner on the outside. But I do think that Travis Etienne is going to have a big reduction in carries. I don't think that he's going to... I could see him more as like a Miles Sanders, maybe 160 carries. But I do think that Tank Bigsby is instantly going to slot in for around 100 carries his rookie year and around 30 targets as well. Now, if Tank Bigsby is better than Travis Etienne, you're going to have a situation where it's going to massively flip. But here's the thing, too. That's not good for Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne right now is being valued as the Dynasty RB7, which is extremely high for a guy that I don't think is ever going to even sniff top 10. Again, you go back to Miles Sanders and what he was able to do with Doug Peterson, and all right, I'm rolling here. But Miles Sanders under Doug Peterson only ever finished as RB14. That was his rookie year with 179 carries. Year number 2, the efficiency came down, the efficiency went up, but the total touches came down a little bit, a lot less usage in the passing game. But in reality, I really think that the Miles Sanders peak year 1 is the best we're going to get from ETN at this point in time. And again, I think Tank Bigsby is a lot better than people give him credit for. And I think he's going to steal a lot more carries than people want to give him credit for. So let's just say for argument's sake, they get Travis Etienne to around 160 carries. I do think he's going to have around 60 targets this upcoming season. Again, he's a guy you want to get into space, right, where you can chunk off those big yardage plays. But again, the number 2 running back almost always, if you're not going to have a rushing quarterback like Jalen Hurts or Carson Wentz, is going to have around 120 carries for this team. And if he's got 120 carries and 20 targets, that's a lot of usage that's just going to be taken away from Travis Etienne. So Travis Etienne, I like the talent quite a bit. I still think that he's going to be the number 1 on this roster. I just don't think that you're going to want to invest in him. That's why I've been investing in Tank Bigsby pretty much everywhere, because one, if there's any injuries to Travis Etienne, which I'm not saying that he's injury prone, he had an unfortunate ACL tear his rookie year, had to miss that entire Urban Meyer experience. Lucky for him. But, in year 2, played 17 games. There were some reports that he was kind of banged up here and there, but he did quite a bit his rookie sophomore year, in the NFL. I just don't think the team was comfortable with that, and that's why they went so heavily on Tank Bigsby. Now, if anything were to happen to Travis Etienne, however, I do think that they would give the reins over to Tank Bigsby. And, like I said, last year they traded away James Robinson very early. And as such, Travis Etienne had 220 attempts, which is the highest in Doug Peterson's entire coaching history, right? So they've shown that if there's no other options, they will go with one guy because they kind of have to. Meaning that Tank Bigsby is a very valuable handcuff to Travis Etienne with some standalone value on his own. Although, again, I think Travis Etienne is the one you want to own in this backfield, but I don't want to pay that cost. And if I can get a trade for Travis Etienne where I'm getting RB7 value for him, I am all aboard that train because there's just no way that he's going to live up to that. And that's what makes me the most worried and why I wanted to talk about this a little bit today, because there's so many people that are, oh, it's ETN, oh, it's Tank Bigsby. And it's kind of dumb because, one, we don't know. And two, I don't know if it really matters, because if the best you're going to get is maybe RB12, it's not really that great of a situation for a young player that everyone is extremely, extremely excited about, right? So I just want to put that out there, and I want people to kind of think about it from that perspective, right? Especially for Dynasty. Again, if you can sell him for massive value, oh man, that's just, it's hard for me to pass up. I mean, at RB7, guys that I have over him for this year and multiple years still, you've got McCaffrey, Austin Eckler. I still think Austin Eckler has a bit of time left over someone like an ETN. And I know Dale was a little bit higher on ETN than me, but still, I am a little bit more nervous there. Bijan, I think, is going to be higher. JT, CMC, Barkley, Ken Walker. Well, I don't know about Ken Walker. I think I'm a little bit down on him personally. Josh Jacobs, though. Najee Harris, I think, is in for a very good year this upcoming season. And yeah, there's quite a few players. Gibbs, even, I could see him finishing higher than someone like a Travis Etienne. So there's a lot of players out there, and I'm just a little bit nervous on ETN, what he's going to be able to give you versus what his cost is going to be, or what his trade value is going to be, right? Conversely, again, Tank Bigsby, I've been getting him at the back half of second round in a lot of rookie drafts. I don't know if that's kind of still his value. I haven't done one since he's kind of spiked in the news lately, but if you're looking at high second round for Tank Bigsby, okay, that's where I'm a little bit more out on him, but back half of the second, that's where it was amazing value nonstop. So that's my thoughts on who the number one RB is going to be. Still going to be ETN, but if you can sell him for a king's ransom, I would definitely be doing that right now. Find someone who believes he is the guy. He's a young running back, only in year 2, 3, 2 of his actual playing career. So go find someone that believes in him like that and sell the crap out of him, because I think his ceiling is extremely capped. And, he's got a very high floor, which is good for fantasy football. But in the offseason, just go get those players, those picks, and whatever you can get for them right now. Fix it later. So that's my thoughts on ETN versus Tank Bigsby. Let me know your thoughts over on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at TDC_Calvin. Podcast is on Spotify, Google, Apple, anywhere. If you can, while you're there, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, review, whatever you can, just to help out. And tomorrow we'll be back with rounds 2 and 3 of a rookie draft review. We did round 1 yesterday. Like I said, me and Dale will be back for rounds 2 and 3 tomorrow. So I'm excited to be going through a little bit more of that with you guys as well. So any questions, anything like that, hit me up on Twitter, on YouTube. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. Until next time, thank you guys so much for listening, and good night.